Hello and happy Tuesday, everyone. It is the middle of the night. I've just switched to normal mode again after being in peaceful mode for that view of the village and the distant hills. And now it's time for another day, and with it, another tree type. This is one that, I don't think many people have heard of. It's incredibly rare, niche. It's undeniably, illustrious, high value. It's oak. I'm gonna do oak. Yeah. You know her, you love her. She's a basic bitch and she's everywhere. But, where would we be without the tree that started it all? The first tree, the first in Minecraft type of tree that ever existed at all in Minecraft, in that context of Minecraft. It's the only one it's the first one, It's the only one that is the first one. Once the first one has happened, there's not a second first one. There's only the first. Which is interesting, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, I think that's kind of silly, but, it is true. And it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things. And I just don't know what to do about it. But I am choosing, with all of my patience and all of my strength and all of my wisdom, of which there is some. There is an amount of wisdom that I contain. Yes. And in that vast store of wisdom, I know that poison spiders will save us all, and in fact, themselves, by virtue of their very existence, are our salvation. Poison spiders, poison spiders, poison spiders. Happy thoughts, happy poison spiders. Alright, so we've got some pumpkins, we got some tater tots in the rough, some dubious potatoes, no dubious potatoes, but dubious. They do be dubious. Alright, one thing I can do is I could put a button here. Would it do anything? If I put a button here, would it do anything? It's good decoration, I think. Yeah, and, definitely. Can I be a Southern Belle? I am working on it. I'm working on it. Much like all of my other deeply flawed traits in life, I am also not as much of a Southern Belle as I'm sure it's possible to be. I'm gonna put up a sign. If you can read this. Poison spiders rule. There we go. Which is interesting. It stops being true at a certain distance. Unlike the real truth, which is that poison spiders are the answer. And our universe would not exist except to perform the purpose. Yes, the very purpose of reality itself is to allow for the existence of poison spiders. And I hear many of you in the comments clickety-clacking. I can hear your keyboards, clicking away. I can read your thoughts. I'm behind you right now, in the room with you. I'm standing right there. And from that vantage point, from that perspective, I can tell that you're saying, oh, Symbio sister, there is no such thing as poison spiders. If you eat it and you die, that is poison. If it bites you and you die, that is venom. So what you're actually worried about are venomous spiders. Like black widows or the brown recluse. You're worried about venomous spiders, not poisonous spiders. Who would eat spiders? And I agree. No one should be eating spiders because they are the perfect being. They are beyond us. They are beyond our ways and our wisdom. They are land creatures with 8 limbs, some of which can change color, just like the octopus is the god of the underwater world with 8 limbs and the ability to change color. Highly intelligent, solitary individuals that travel and learn, but hatch as like our strategists, highly intelligent our strategists. Our strategy being the strategy where you produce a lot of offspring and only some of them survive. Kay's strategy is more like our lifestyle, or the lifestyle of elephants, where you have a few babies and you put a lot of effort into making sure that they survive. I'm just saying, the spider is the octopus of the land. And I have a feeling that's unsubstantiated by everything, that they're related. I feel like the missing link between spiders and octopus is this thing called Tully monstrum. If you don't know what it is, it's a really cool Pennsylvanian, which is a part of the Carboniferous period of Earth's history. And in those rocks are fossils of this thing called Tully monstrum, which looks like if you gave a football linguini arms, like a single ruffle of linguini that goes around the whole football, and then you put an elephant trunk on it, and then you put an elbow in the middle of the trunk, and then you add a crab claw, and in the center of the crab claw is its mouth. And this is a real animal. This actually made it through. This actually made it through the censors of the the production team. They made this thing, and there are actually a lot of them where they're found. Yeah, but they're very strange. They're very strange. We can't actually. I mean, the last I've heard, and this is from one of my favorite channels on YouTube, very close to my favorite channel on YouTube, Mothlight Media. Absolutely wonderful channel about like prehistory and natural history, different creatures that live on the earth. It's just a very, very cool channel, and something absolutely. I've always had like an interest in natural history, but when I really get into that channel in like 2020, when absolutely nothing was happening, no major public health crises were happening in 2020, I mysteriously found myself with a lot of spare time on my hands, and that was when I got into Mothlight Media, and that is who I heard of Tully monstrum originally from, because prehistory is excellent in that it's a source for so many strange creatures. There are just so many creeblin' little creeblers in like just ancient life. All of the things that have lived on this planet. And I think it's incredibly neat. With this oak construction, I am gonna cheat a little bit and do what I did with the birch when I first did an episode about the birch, which is I'm not exactly gonna build there's the bench. This is where the view was from for the vista. I'm going to build a structure instead of exactly a house. So you see here, there's this whole expanse off into the distance. You can see there's acacia. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make a bridge across this, and I think the best place to land that bridge is right on that outcrop there. And I just need to start somewhere that's like in line generally with that, and then I think we're good. So I'm going to start a little bit down the hill, just because I can tell, and I know that it's about nightfall, so I'm being a little reckless here, a little exuberant with it, but you know, I think we can at least get a start. And this is acacia now, so this is also a little different. How do I do that? I think I'm gonna go like just pretend that support isn't there, and then nice. Okay, I mean, worst case scenario, I spend the night out. What? Oh, come on now. Oh, be reasonable. You're just an unholy creature of the night. It's not like you have to be a jerk. Okay, well, I guess he just wants to be a jerk then. Clearly it was optional for him. I was gonna say it would be possible I end up on this overnight. What was I trying to say? Oh yeah, why do I think that Tully Monstrum is the intermediate form between spiders and octopus? There's a lot of evidence both ways saying that it could be a vertebrate or it could be an invertebrate. We don't know that specifically, which is a rare thing to say. Usually we can tell, especially, I mean, those fossils, and now I am going off of memory, so it's possible I've got some things a little bit out of order, but I need to run. Come on. Oh no. Oh goodness gravy. Not at all what I wanted. Nope, nope, nope. Not what I wanted. No, no, no. Not what I wanted. Come on, come on, come on. Run! Run! Oh, okay, okay. Oh, that was fun. Alright. Oh, why do I have monsters? Why did I do this to myself? The house did look very pretty from a distance, just for the one individual second that I saw it for. Yeah, okay, so, yes, we haven't narrowed it down to whether it's a vertebrate or an invertebrate. It seems like it has a notochord. You can't see me. You can't see me! Oh, I guess you can see me, huh? Is that a fire resistance helmet? That's gotta be a fire resistance helmet. Or at least some kind of protection from... Where is it? That skeleton shouldn't be able to see me. Come on. Come on. Here, girl. I didn't drop the helmet. That's lame. And I do want more spider silk so I can catch a cat. You don't catch a cat. I don't know. Make a pet. There's got to be a more gooder way to say that. All right, pale oak log. I could get some pale oak logs out of this deal. I could get some firefly bush. Great film. Great film and great. That would be a quality product. I can tell. Potion of invisibility. Yeah, I'll use that at the. Toxic Tim. Oh. Okay, I don't think he's gonna come out. Toxic Tim, it's okay to be who you are. I know Pride Month is over, but it's still okay to be gay. Or evil or whatever. Yeah, there you are. I see you, you mother of falafel. You make me falafel because you're so evil. I need to proc an arrow and then move in for the kill. Come on. What? You can't. Oh, come on. They don't have that much health. I hit him with this sword. Alright. I mean, this is normal difficulty, so maybe it's not exactly what I'm used to. Here we go. Poison spiders, poison spiders. Poison spiders. Poison spiders. If I say poison spiders, you know what I mean. That's how language works. Language is meant to communicate ideas. Language is meant to get things across. Not to be a shackle, not to be a barrier to communication, not to be an excuse to impose one's worldview on others through language. Language exists to facilitate communication, not to impede it. If I say poison spiders, and you start telling me that the difference between poison and venom and blah blah blah, you've now made the conversation about yourself. You have decentered the poison spiders from the conversation. That is unacceptable behavior, and it won't be tolerated. Not by me. Alright? Marcus Aurelius famously said, poison spiders, poison spiders, poison spiders, poison spiders, poison spiders. And he said it just that way, with relief and conviction and a perfect inner clarity. And that is the tradition that we must carry on if we are to save ourselves from ourselves. So, what have you done? What have we all done this week for poison spiders? For the cause, for the noble pursuit, for the wondrous gift that it is. What have you done? What value does your life have? Have you been giving enough of your energy to poison spiders this week? And if that's not the case, do better. Donate any amount you like to poisonspiders.paypal.com. You can do this any day. There's no excuse not to. It's simply one of the most important things you can do. Poison spiders. Poison spiders. Oh, look at these flowers. Look at this. Oh, it's like a little fairy snuck in the night and planted all of these. I mean, I planted those cherries, but I can't take credit from the fairies. Oh, this is silly of me. This is incredibly silly of me, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I just want the root system to extend all the way down. So this Telemonstrum creature, I think that it's incredibly neat. And one of the reasons I think it's so neat is that its eyes are on stalks, which sort of seems to... and they're out horizontal, sort of like the arrangement that you see in like a hammerhead shark. They have gill slits, or what look like gill slits. I mean, again, its anatomy is hard to label if we don't actually know what group of creatures it belongs to with certainty. But those eye stalks kind of seem to imply... it seems like it would be most likely a prey item, because you want a wider field of vision, but at the same time, having your eyes out on stalks like horizontally like that just seems like a bad strategy in general, because it means there's this like big blind spot right in front of your face and like right behind you. So what gives is the question I'm trying to ask, you know? Yeah, what gives with their eyes? I sort of wonder if there's an element of like with the hammerhead shark, that it's kind of it's not just optimizing for vision, it's also optimizing for something else. So in that case, there are electroreceptors along the rostrum, or along whatever that face thing is actually called. The wide part, the hammerhead, right? It's got electroreceptive pits all along that stretch of its body, and so it's using that probably to sense its prey, which, if I recall, is like stuff in the mud, stuff on like the seafloor. So it's often trying to find like partially submerged critters. Or like partially buried is the word, submerged in earth. And so I'm wondering if maybe Telemonstrum had some kind of electrosensation or chemoreception. The reason it's wide, right, is because as you're swimming through the water, you're sampling a wider area, so you've got a more acute sensory organ. But you only have one face, one head, so you kind of have to like balance the needs of two sensory organs, or two sensory modalities, I guess. All depends on how you want to get it across. But I also kind of wonder, because that elbow jointed crab claw on its face just seems like such an unlikely thing. I wonder if that had a sensory role as well. It makes me very like curious. I'm kind of imagining it might be like something like a sea squirt. So a sea squirt is chordate, like you and I, and fish and frogs and reptiles and all the tetrapods, you know. So and sea squirts are sessile, so they sit in one area. They stick to one area, and they don't venture away from it. So it's kind of a question of, is it possible that Telemonstrum kind of had a sessile lifestyle? And because it seems like such a strange thing to try to swallow through that appendage, if it's just a crab claw with like a hose and a 90-degree bend in the hose, just like even peristalsis just feels like not enough. Like it's such a major barrier to swallowing. I just can't imagine that it would swallow anything like prey, unless it's like just hoovering up mud, like it's a little vacuum cleaner unit. But I'm kind of also picturing maybe it like attached to the sea floor and just stuck its little Kriebelin crab claw into the dirt to find some kind of anchorage, and then was actually like filter feeding through its gill arches, or whatever those gill slits or whatever they're called. Again, based on what you decide to label their ancestry as, right? Because that's a zombie, isn't it? Oh no, it's not. It's still that honey. Oh, I need to make a campfire and get some honey. I should get some honey. Or candles. I think the best thing would be like more beehives. But if I'm farming oak saplings and I'm farming oak trees, then it kind of makes more sense almost to just keep doing that. And I'm probably... So one thing I know is when trees generate that you've planted, sometimes they have a beehive on them. Yeah, that classic like poison spider, the like neon bright green spider that bites you and you dissolve into a pile of goo. Like, it doesn't exist in reality. It just exists in like the sort of cultural awareness or cultural consciousness, which I just think is interesting. It's like you can evoke an image with language of something that doesn't exist, but everybody kind of agrees is a good enough symbol, I suppose. Like Bigfoot. Like Bigfoot. Because a lot of creatures, I mean, it's bears. Bears stand on their hind legs, they walk around. There are a variety of different like disorders that bears can have, like mange, that can radically alter their appearance. They can get things like scoliosis, you know, some medical problems, physiological problems that make them appear very different than what they traditionally would. And yeah, I mean, I think people often don't appreciate the diversity of like what an individual type of animal can look like in extreme circumstances. Like, I mean, we've seen deer, right, that are born with 6 legs. So, you know, it's technically a hexapod. Love to see that actually survive. That would be cool. If there was a species of like hexapodal deer that had secondarily derived an extra pair of legs. You know, it would be extremely unethical to try to create such a thing. You can support me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. The other thing that would be easy, okay, so in the Carboniferous, spiders used to grow a lot bigger. There was something that was misidentified that wasn't a spider but actually a sea scorpion that used to be called like the biggest spider in the world. And you'll still see that claim brought up from time to time, but it's not true. It's fiction. It's entirely not true. It's made up. It's fiction. It's not real. It was dreamed up as a work of fiction by an author on this very program we're presenting to you tonight. Poison spiders. Poison spiders. Tully monstrum as a filter feeder does make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense for that to be a mouth opening. And often this theme comes up in like prehistory and paleontology, is you find something and the only things we have to go on for its behavior and its functionality, its anatomy, and contextualizing and trying to explain what put the bones in that orientation or position, you know, during the animal's life, and then its eventual death. We only have the present to go on, so we don't actually know, like, you know, I mean, there are still questions in like Brachiosaurus, sauropod anatomy. How did they get as big as they got? Some of the fragmentary bone evidence that hasn't been able to survive to a museum seems to suggest like incredibly large sizes for some titanosaurs. You know, the blue whale record still famously always stands as, you know, the largest creature, the largest animal, I guess, that has existed on the planet. Yeah. And I mean, if we don't know, given how much energy and effort has gone into identifying and, yeah, creating those fossils and collecting those fossils, I guess the word's like curating and collecting fossils and preserving them and preparing them for display. And you know, we still have questions. So how much more for Talimonstrum, a weird creature that it's like completely divorced from its original context. We can't find its close relatives. We don't know what its ancestors looked like. We don't really know. It almost looks like something that, you know, evolved in the Cambrian the Cambrian explosion, and then somehow managed to survive longer. But you know, we don't have, to my knowledge, fossils of it from earlier than the Pennsylvanian. Yeah, but I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong. It just raises an interesting question about those like taxa that exist for a short time and we see them, and then they're gone, and we just don't know. We just don't know if it was like a weird, small, isolated population that survived and then happened to fossilize in this one particular coal bed. Were they widespread all over the planet, or were they just there? And what did they result in? Because it just has a very squiddy sort of a body plan, and it kind of makes sense to me if like the beak retracts in, then you've kind of got something that looks a lot more like a squid. It's just not got the face tentacles. And its eyes do kind of strike me as very mollusk. So I'm kind of more on team mollusk, which connects it to like octopus, but it's the 8 limbs thing that does it for me. It's like 8 is a specific number of limbs, and the fact that, you know, an octopus has 8 tentacles and a spider has 8 limbs, it just gets me suspicious, especially with like the larger patterns in their life cycle of being, yeah, solitary, very intelligent, very self-reliant, relying on complex strategies to survive, producing a lot of babies all at once, and they also care for their egg sac. Mother octopus famously dies just protecting her young. I think she sits on the egg sac for it's a long time. It's long enough, I think a year. It's long enough for her to basically starve to death just guarding eggs, and that's the end of her life cycle. Now, the behavior of the males dying after mating, that's different. That is true for spiders, in a lot of spider species. That's not always the case, even though the ones that do tend to eat the males. It does make me wonder, though, how deep those roots go. Like, what was the last common ancestor between mollusks and arthropods? That's a question with an answer, I'm sure, and one that I just need to, you know, do the research to find out. But it does make sense to me. That something that swims in the water and has a weird face appendage would be a good candidate. We've got mollusks that swim through the water, right? Like octopus. Is that the ancestral condition, I hear you ask? I don't know. I think the ancestral condition is something that walks along the seafloor, that crawls along the seafloor and sort of sucks up algae. You know what I'm going to do? Since I have this string, that's 3 string already. Let's make a fishing rod. Let's go get some fish, and let's get a cat. There's still more to be done here with the pumpkins. I am happy with this, though. I seem to be getting pumpkins. They don't seem to be taking forever to grow. I just accidentally harvested my potatoes there. I don't have the kind of hoe I need, so I'm going to get the kind of hoe I need. Shoddy like a melody in my head. Now let me be clear. I am Barack Obama. I like drone tricks, and I can't deny it. And I cannot lie. You other brothers, I can't deny it. When a girl walks in, drone strike. Immediately, no questions. Not that. I had forgotten what I was trying to do. Oh, fishing rod. Okay. No. Oh, okay. Alright. So then, what we can do is we can drop off the silk and a couple other things just to free up enough inventory space. We can drop that, we can drop that. This is good to have for food. There's a couple things I probably wouldn't want to have just for space, but I think we're pretty well off now. Okay. Nice. Nice. I'm trying to remember the name of the fossil of the thing that was like the oldest, at least that I know of, mollusk. I'll think of it. For some reason, I want it to be like Gibberella. Gibberellin. Gibberellin degeneris. Let's see. So, we can definitely make some coal. I'm thinking about sticks for torches. I've already got some sticks, but definitely need more. Definitely need more coal. And then more oak trees to finish that bridge. Maybe we can do some fishing off of the bridge. That feels like a good way to kind of tie everything together. Yeah, kind of creeble it into one good creeble. To one good creeble. To one good wable. Oh, you know what? I need to flip over the coal again. But arthropods, something like Hallucigenia is a good candidate for, you know, an ancestral arthropod, something like a velvet worm. And then that's also, you know, still related to something like Anomalocaris. But I think Anomalocaris represents kind of a more derived form in the arthropod lineage, even though it's not an arthropod itself, it's a stem arthropod. Apex predator back in the Cambrian. Looks like a shrimp, but with two elephant trunks, and the elephant trunks kind of have spines curling in, which is kind of neat. You know, similar to how Dollymonstrum has this like facial ornamentation. It's just these patterns or echoes or reflections in like the forms of physical creatures. And, you know, I mean, that's very vibes-based. You know, I'm not doing a taxonomic analysis or going into it rigorously. Although that would be cool. That would be a good thing to study. the Burgess Shale would be excellent to study. And the thing about like these deep cave systems is they do kind of have this ability to bring animals from like one context to another context. I'm not saying that they actually do or that this is frequently encountered. I'm saying that like it at least raises the chance for that to happen. So a rare species of animal can end up in a cave system, radiate and adapt within that cave system, and then make it to another area of the globe, and it's now a quite different creature. And in the case of like a lot of mass extinction events, right, caves are, just by virtue of what they are, separated, isolated from the overall environment. So it's possible, at least in theory, for something to survive in a cave through a mass extinction, remain buried for a long time, and then to come up later. Brine shrimp can survive in salt, right? In mineral salt deposits for literal millions of years. We've revived 3 million year old brine shrimp. I hope I'm remembering that correctly, because it's a very impressive little factoid, but it's just a testament to the resiliency of life. And this sculpture that I made that has this has a bunch of like moss and lichen, so I put water in it that has that was sort of, I made like a tea almost, no heat, just water, and mixed it with like some moss and lichen from trees that I just found that had like fallen on the ground. So no damage to the trees, just like windfall. Here's what I'm going to do. Oh, is 8 enough? I might be able to build up, but... Oh, armadillos! Armadillos. I like that. I think they're neat. I have no interest in killing them at all. It's even if I wasn't doing, you know, the vegan version of Minecraft for this series. We're very close to having the quality that we need for the bridge. You know, that would have been way easier, hey? I don't know. I feel like the grass is just always greener on the other side. Let's see. Let's just at least take a look, because I feel like I might have missed an opportunity there, and it might not be too late to reclaim the wood and just move it over. Yeah, more time-consuming maybe, but also, like, might just not need to harvest any more wood from raw. This saves saplings, but that's still a bit of a distance, isn't it? I mean, we could go off of this tree, and like, if we look, oh, there's some lava. I've been looking for lava, so that's good. It's just one block, but if we have one block, we still have the stalactite, so that could work for that. Yeah, I mean, that's a long distance. That's clearly longer than this distance. I don't know. Then again, I mean, this kind of gets us further out from spawn. I mean, it's already there. I'm trying to make another argument, but that's the argument I'm really making. It's like, it's already there. Why mess with it? And I think I'm gonna go with that, because we literally just reached the extent of where I would try to get. So I'm gonna sleep, let those leaves sort of despawn, see if I can find any saplings left over at places where I have harvested. Part of the reason I put saplings exactly where I chopped the tree down, and then I know that if there's a sapling there, I recently cut a tree down on that exact location, so I can find all of the saplings that have like fallen still. At least in theory. At least in theory. Here, oh, I think this was me. I think this was the one I planted. Just did that. Yeah. Oak trees, if if you stress them out in Minecraft, they'll grow this like much more tangled form that's a real pain, honestly, to cut down. Because if you miss any wood block, then the leaves don't despawn. So you have to like break out all of the leaves in order to just verify that you've got that you've got it to a point where it'll despawn. So it's actually better, in my opinion, as vines! I've been looking for vines. Yes! This is exciting. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna leave them up. Because I don't want to totally get rid of the vines on that tree. I still want that effect, but they say it's rotting, a rotting tree. It's true, a lot of vines do actually cause, like, a problem for the tree. And here I am messing up the grassland to plant more trees. You know, I mean, grassland is also a productive ecosystem, an important ecosystem, a worthwhile, valid ecosystem. Let's not creepers. Nope, that was enough. That was all of the creeper I needed in my life for a good long while. That Enderman has something I want. Hello, sir. Will you come say hi? He's not happy with me. Or she. I wonder if... She's probably in the shade, though. I'm just trying to figure out where she went. Oh, there she is. Hello. Yes! The lengths I'll go to when I don't have self-touch. Me and my southern bellness. Alright. Ender pearl, fishing rod. We've got a couple oak logs. I think we're ready now. I think we're ready to finish off that bridge. I do want a couple more oak trees, but it's tricky. And then, okay, that's the other thing. It's difficult to get density with oak trees, because the more density you have, the more you risk accidentally developing these more, I don't know, just bushy style of trees. Is bushy the right word? The widely branching, the really big canopies, that tends to come out more when you cluster them more densely. Although it can just happen for no reason. So you know, you can plant them with lots of space and nothing in the environment directly above them, and they'll still sometimes go all giant on you. Okay, and then here's this, and I would like to fill this in. Yeah, because that was a nice little lilac meadow until the creepers did their thing. Do y'all remember the game theory of creepers? Them being like basically sphagnum moss, and when they blow up, they're spreading their spores. So if you live, you wander off and you're carrying their spores. If you die, then your corpse becomes fuel for their spores to live on. I think about that a lot. I think about that a normal amount. I think about that at the normal amount that somebody should think about that. Okay, there, and then this, we can get a bunch of this. We can make more chests, because we definitely have some valuables now. Some valuables. Some valuable. Here, let's do that. I think that looks cute. And then we can do... I was kind of debating doing some birch as part of the bridge, but I think I'm going to keep it all oak, at least for now. Just so it kind of counts as an oak episode. It kind of counts along the oak theme. So yeah, valuables. There we go. Yeah, we can put that there. The bones are kind of nice. I don't really know what to do with them yet. The vines are really nice. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in the basement. And then, yeah. I mean, I know what I want to do with them, but it's kind of off the beaten path right now. It's the road back to the house. I want to make sure it looks nice, and that's how I want to do it. Here, so okay, torches, because I need to do some mining, because I'm going to need more iron. And the other thing that I need with the coal was to cook some potatoes. There we go. Okay. Yeah, food, feeding myself, that's important. There we go. Okay, so then, while that cooks, is it a good idea to go caving? Not even a little bit. That seems like the worst idea you could possibly do. And am I going to do it? Oh yeah. And is it going to be a good idea? Probably not. Hello. Dig, dig, grave digger. Dig, grave digger, dig. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. That skeleton's just bucking it, hey? They're usually not so motivated at this distance. He shouldn't have even seen me, but he's seen me. Okay. Well, if he's seen me, then let's get out of here. Toxic Tim is not to be messed with. Not without the proper equipment. Not without the proper poison spider brand equipment. Oh, that is actually a good place for that. Okay, so that cave system will definitely yield minerals. That is absolutely great news. Definitely worth exploring that. This is strange. Where are the potatoes? Oh. Okay, I'm still gonna leave... I'm not gonna use a whole coal for that individual potato. I think 8's enough for now. We'll be okay. We just need to get these hearts replenished. And that's an efficient use of a potato, but... There we go. Alright, so then we've got more seeds, more lilac, more organic sort of stuff. Let's actually go ahead and just sort of help grow back this meadow. We've got the bone meal. Are you actually serious right now? This is frustrating. You saw it. That was just mean-spirited. He's just trying to spread his spores, hey? I do like the idea of explosive plants. That just seems like a good concept to me. It makes sense. It feels like appropriate. It's sort of like how eucalyptus trees, you know, make all that oil. So when they burn like crazy. And it's like kind of like they're doing it on purpose. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's an aspect there of like anti-indigeneity from like the colonists and the settlers, trying to like vilify the native plants as a way to justify, you know, colonial expansion. As definitely was like a component in that particular colonial expansion. Remains to this day sort of that myth of like, dangerous Australia, everything's so scary. Here. So, am I spreading that myth by mentioning it? I'm trying not to. I'm trying to criticize it and highlight it in order to criticize it. But, you know, is it working? Well, I'll let you be the judge of that. I do think that it's kind of cool. Yeah, the concept of like an exploding plant. And like, especially one that's using that as a method of like encouraging its reproduction. Is it already nighttime? I feel like the day just started. That's very annoying. Okay. Well, I was running around making potatoes, making torches, making chests, cozying up the place. That is such a line, hey? Look at that. Okay, I mean at the end of this, when we actually... We're gonna chop down a lot of the oak trees that have like expanded out into that field there. At least the ones that I planted. That is too far away. It's literally not even that far away. I mean, I could just run out there and make a line. Because why not? I mean, the creeper was only there because it survived the night and didn't despawn. So that's another reason, that's a good reason, anyway, to... Oof, that was very close. That's an incredibly good reason to just leave your home area or home base as soon as the day starts and go as far as you can away so that the monsters will despawn. You know, top tips and tricks. Simba Sister Brand. Oh no. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's literally okay. 11 got us there, so we want to support and then just zip along. I mean, this bridge is like kind of low quality. I want to double it up. I want to make it at least 2 spaces wide. Yeah, there's a lot I want to do with it, but... Okay. I saw that skeleton, I just didn't want to deal with it. Alright. There we go. Oh, come on now. See, look how many monsters are out already. Which is kind of annoying. I mean, that is normal mode. This game has definitely gotten a lot harder. Okay, well there's what's like a rotten oak tree off to the left. So there is like precedent for oak trees. They're not entirely, you know, non-native here. We might have gone far enough to despawn. Definitely the stuff by the front, but hopefully also the stuff in the backyard. But yeah, I know I planted this one. And then that was generated with the world, and they just intersect in a nice way. And like sometimes it's not reproducible the way that 2 trees form together. Like this, I don't think I could make this by planting 2 saplings right adjacent to each other. Although that's maybe how that happened. Not sure. Ooh. Okay, well there's that top of that fissure. So there's kind of a natural barrier, making it a little bit more tricky to get out this way, which is nice. You know, I mean, it's not 100%. Obviously, like, things can still crawl up from here, and then come up to here, and then get in there. But I'm going to put a gate right outside there, and then maybe, like, stairs going over that block of grass. And then this side, there is a big, flat, open area that has definitely space for monsters to spawn. So this could be improved and lit up. Maybe it's a good idea to just put some torches like around and give myself a little bit of breathing room when it comes to monster spawns. Because yeah, I mean, I love the flowers, I love the scenery, love vibing with it, integrating with it, but you know, I also want to stay safe. I don't like a lot of creepers in my backyard. You know, a lot of creeblers. No creepers, no creeblers. That should be the slogan of the new revolution. No creeblers, no creeblers. Okay. No evil pumpkins. Okay. Now, what's going on here? The leaves have kind of not despawned 100% in the way that they normally would. But let's leave it like that, and then this one, yeah, we've got another good stack of wood here. And that one that was definitely generated by the world. Like, I placed it and it generated that. Definitely it's new. It wasn't generated with the world, is what I meant to say. But I could imagine something like something that crawls around sort of on the ocean floor, hoovering up sediment. I could imagine something like that evolving into something like Hallucigenia. So, yeah, because I mean, one of the oldest stem arthropods that's still alive, one of the oldest representatives, that evidence suggests is the one of the oldest, branches of the insect lineage and arthropods in general, is the velvet worm, which is kind of a sticky, gooey sort of a thing. It looks more like well, it actually looks quite a bit like Hallucigenia itself, and is thought to, be related, not closely, but definitely related to Hallucigenia. So it's basically the difference would you just like add more spikes, give it a punk makeover. Okay, we're getting somewhere with the actual number of oak saplings in this area. So I think by kind of farming within the forest, we've got a slight increase in the overall density, which is nice. Something I like. Okay, there we go. And then we could do that and then just carry on. Yeah, now we've finally started actually intersecting with things that are related to the ground, so we're quite close now to ground level. And we will reach it when we reach that oak tree over there. Yeah, make a couple more supports. I do want this to look kind of like an overpass kind of thing. Like I want it to kind of have a serious vibe, look like a real proper a proper architectural structure. Something with volume and cunt. Here we go. So then this and this. And now we're in new territory. And I think this, I'm gonna punch through and get this. This is gonna be like this, so I'm gonna actually just make a sideways block, be a little sneaky, because I know I'm gonna be going like this the whole way, so that's okay. And then, yeah, I think I will finish up that double wideness. Just make a second of this, because this structure I can even branch off of and make another connection. What is that? Oh, I guess the cows are just that color here, hey? Yeah, they've added some more species variation between biomes, which is really cool. Definitely a lot of extra skins to do that, but, you know, I mean, I don't think it actually requires that much additional, I don't know, space on your hard drive, right? It's just a couple of, like, ping images, so. It's definitely nice when they make improvements to the game that don't completely crash your computer's ability to process it at all. Here. A little miffed that didn't. There's a lot of saplings here that, like, could have grown in the time, but didn't. Let's not put those so close together. Let's put that there. And then this one can go here, there's space. And then this also kind of needs to despawn in order to get the saplings I can get from this. So let's just find out what we can actually achieve from here in terms of saplings. Yeah, I have this feeling that, like, the foot and mollusks became their main thing for propulsion sort of early on. This idea of having, like, sort of a wide flap that you undulate as a way to get around, sort of like a stingray. Feels like that had a role, and, like, still exists in, like, squid today. That part, and then the limbs branching off was sort of like a later addition. But arthropods kind of started with making a lot more limbs and more repeated body segments. Yeah, so there's kind of a feeling there that maybe somewhere along that path was something that had fewer body segments. What is it about the arthropod lineage that makes me feel like? The one thing that I can think of is dragonfly nymphs have this jaw that also has an elbow, and they can actually, like, fill in a hollow chamber within it with water, so it immediately pops out, sort of like a human organ that I won't name, but this happens really fast, and there's a jaw at the end of it, and so it actually does launch its jaw out, like Alien versus Predator style, and then grab the food and then pull it back in. So dragonfly nymphs do that, and then they molt into dragonflies, which don't quite have the same jaw structure. But that elbow thing, right, is present there as well. So there's two sort of diverse creatures, by which I mean dragonfly nymphs and squid, and just the way that the beak works and the body plan around it. Telemonstrum feels like a chimera of a lot of traits. So I doubt those things are, like, so directly connected, but I can't help but see the parallel. And spiders have gill arches on their abdomens. And book lungs, which are kind of unique among, like, arthropods. And spiders and, like, arachnids are, like, sort of on a... Are they even less derived than insects? It kind of feels like something more spider-like is more like the ancestral condition of, like, land arthropods. No, that's not even true. No, strike that. Forget what I just said. That's wrong. Here, I'm getting distracted. I want to just kind of go ham with the oak, to be honest. You know, call me Kermit the Frog the way I'm going ham. Does Kermit the Frog eat? That is the question that defines our generation. And the answer, obviously, is a resounding yes. Obviously. He's too much of a king. You think Kermit doesn't eat it? Like, no. I refuse to believe that. I won't talk about it. I won't talk about it. I won't entertain such a heinous position. I mean, I could. Alright, I will. Usually these trees grow a lot more quickly. At least I remember them growing a lot more quickly, because I've never gotten this many saplings down without having replacement start to occur, at least. I mean, it's just a numbers game. More saplings, more chances for growth. Let's just hoe it out. So what I'm imagining is something like Tullymonstrum doesn't have is like a filter feeder that hangs directly into the sediment, doesn't have a lot of limbs to move around, and then sort of develops a set of face tentacles, and that greatly increases its ability to move around. The jaw apparatus the jaw apparatus on that elbow sort of retracts and recedes as the face tentacles sort of take over the role of moving around, and so it doesn't actually need that flexibility and maneuverability in the structure that supports the jaw, and so it gets this like internal beak that then gives rise to like squids and octopus and things like that. And then on land, it's more beneficial to have an exoskeleton because it helps you retain water. And those gill arches, right, that sort of... I mean, there's a siphon on the side of a mollusk. I'm speaking from, like, just enough information to, like, start to speculate, but not enough information to know if I'm, like, really respecting the context. So take this with, like, a big, like a mountain of salt. Take this with like a brine shrimp killing amount of salt. But on land, right, the exoskeleton helps like retain water, helps retain moisture. And so those face tentacles basically get covered in an exoskeleton, and they're able to ambulate, they're able to walk around, and that gives them a lot of flexibility. Silk spinning happens through the end of the abdomen, and the spinnerets there help sort of like weave that thread that would have developed on land. I don't think that there's any opening even at the end of like a mollusk. at least on that end, what would be like the end of the abdomen if they're actually like homologous structures, which I don't think they are. But it's kind of fun to think about how these creatures are connected. Because, I mean, yes, there's a lot we know about anatomy, but at the end of the day, we've had so many situations where we think we have the classification correct based on anatomy, and then we go and do genetic testing, and the genetic testing, it tells us a totally different story about the phylogeny of organisms. And that can be, you know, I mean, there is the assumption that genetic drift happens at a constant rate, and I think it's often kind of glossed over or overlooked. And you know, I mean, it depends, right, on the researcher, on the science communication. Lots of people talk about it. It's not like it's a totally hidden phenomenon, but it is true that the rate of genetic drift can vary a lot, and also some small changes in the genome can have much greater effects than other changes in the genome, right? So like a bunch of changes can happen, and I know that this is also like accounted for in good quality research, but sometimes a small change in the genome in one place can cause a big change in the organism, and sometimes a big change in the DNA in another part of the genome causes almost no change at all. So you know, it's all contextual, right? So the environment is changing as the creatures that live around the creature you're studying exists. So there are always different pressures on genomes as they evolve. What I'm saying is the fossil record doesn't preserve exactly the DNA. You can't get the DNA back. So we don't have that layer of evidence. And even when we do have that layer of evidence, it's not always a rock solid. I mean, nothing in science is rock solid. You can never know something with 100% certainty. That's actually like a principle. You know, that's almost like, might as well be a law of physics. I mean, I feel like Heisenberg's uncertainty principle is the name for that. Of course, that's, you know, a quantum mechanical thing, and they say, well, that doesn't propagate up to the larger scale. I just don't see how that's possible. Perfect knowledge of an object's mass precludes perfect knowledge of its position, so you can't perfectly know its position and its mass. You can get infinitesimally close to having one or the other, but the uncertainty of the other is inversely proportional to the certainty of one, or something like that. When one goes up, the other goes down. If it's inversely proportional exactly, I don't know, but you know, it's just that has a specific meaning, and I don't want to step on any toes. But language is a battlefield, and you know, you can't break a few eggs if you don't make friends with a few lonely, strange men. There we go. Okay, we're gonna have a lot of oak trees. Like, it's gonna be crazy. There's gonna be like a moment where it's like suddenly, and they just all bloom, you know? And our axe is almost run out, so I'm basically thinking that the episode ends when I make that second row and make that bridge just a little bit wider, because it's already been like an hour and a half, I think. Let's watch the sunset. But Telemonstrum existed at a time where, like, more derived mollusks like squid and octopus, not exactly them, but, you know, things that you would recognize as being closely related to them, already existed. Arachnids already existed. So I think this hypothesis, this story that I'm kind of putting together feels more like Telemonstrum would have been basically a holdover of a more stem creature. So it's sort of like an echo of what used to exist at the branching point or nexus of that lineage. Would be cool. Would be extremely cool if there was actually a reason. I think the thing to look for would be like octo, any kind of 8-point symmetry in Telemonstrum. I remember hearing that there might be some evidence of 5-point symmetry, but maybe they just didn't count right, you know? I mean, how many of us, when trying to count to 8, have accidentally counted to 5? You know, it's quite a few. I know thousands of you probably have had that exact problem. Millions, billions even. You know, multiple quadrillions. Oh, that's cool. That goes deep. Huh. It looks a lot like the terrain I'm coming from, so this is definitely going to be an adventure to navigate. Yeah, I mean, it's obvious, right? We're going to be doing an Acacia episode next. Here. Oh, that is beautiful. There is something nice about those, like, straight lines. It's just very certain about what it is. You know, the object itself is very certain of itself. I like that. I like your girl who knows who she is. Yes, queen. That's another way to say that. Let's go jump in the water. Yeah. And there's definitely good opportunities for cave diving here. I think I've said that already, but it is true. Here we go. Where are the oaks that have finally decided to grow? There's one. There's one. One good oak. Good oak. Good job. Maybe it's just the biome. I don't know if they've actually gotten around to changing the rate at which trees grow in different biomes, but it would make sense in a dry biome that, like, oak would definitely have a hard time, would struggle to grow very quickly. And then there's something like a sawfish, right? That just kind of has sort of a vibe. But there's also been sharks, weird shark sort of looking things. Like one that had like basically a buzzsaw for a jaw. Like it's like a. We've seen the whirl of teeth, so that's the frustrating thing about shark evolution. Is we often only get the teeth because the soft parts, the cartilaginous skeleton, doesn't fossilize so well. So we more often just get the teeth, and you know, from the end Permian, or from I think it was just before the Permian mass extinction, just before the Great Dying, there were these like whorl-jawed sharks that had like a spiral of teeth coming off the end of their face. Sort of like, I guess it's kind of like the Anomalocaris facial appendage, but the teeth being on like the outside of the spiral instead of the inside of the spiral. So curling out instead of curling in. And then here's something we can do that's like actually a little bit more clever. Because we know exactly where that line is, we could actually get some oak trees growing at places where they have basically it's anything where it's like above the tree sapling. There's just a variation. There's stuff kind of jumping into what would be the tree's space. If there's too much stuff above it, it'll tend to grow in that big, exuberant way. So I'm hoping to like intentionally trigger that and then connect those more massive trees to the bridge. But the fact that you can see shadows now is new, and I haven't actually done anything with that. So I think I'm gonna do something with that now, because yeah, I can actually see now exactly where those shadows are, and that's okay. Yeah, okay. So I think those trees are gonna be good. They're gonna add like a little extra structure, and even if they don't, it does give me a head start on knowing I'm trying to build some kind of supports there. And we are gradually inching our way across this massive divide. You know, 9 blocks at a time. But don't scoff at 9 blocks, you know. And I know there's got to be an army of people who are like, oh, just use planks. You'd be done by now. Yeah. It's not about the destination, man. It's about the journey. God. Alright. Here. There's a lot of room to grow. Oh, come on. That's definitely not what I wanted to happen. I never want to make a strip log. It's always an accident, and it does cost durability. It's not free. And now we're in a situation, because it's going to be a lot more time consuming. I could make a stone axe to avoid having to go get more iron. I could do that. I think I'm going to do that. Because I don't think we actually need that much more in terms of actual wood. Honestly, if we double what we have right now, we're going to be making pretty good progress. So, you know, that fence should really just be, that gate should be really there. Anyway, that can happen. Just not right now. Let's start with you. You are you're the pain. Because I'm also still gonna need more stone. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this is what I'm saying. Okay? You get cobblestone for free. Like cobblestone you just get because you are mining. So you'll have cobblestone, right? So there's actually nothing stopping me from making 18 pickaxes. Nothing at all. I can just make a ton of them. I don't even have to feel an inch, you know, an inch of remorse, an ounce, whatever unit you measure remorse in. I don't need to spend any of it worrying about how many stone pickaxes I have. And maybe I should, because I just realized I don't actually need stone pickaxes. What I need is stone axes. Oh, okay, alright. But, you know, when I go to mine, now I have, you know, a basically endless supply of the tool I need. So, you know, if it's going to be a matter of, like, durability, why use tools that you're going to be precious about? Why have a diamond 12... Oh, I almost made the same mistake. Why make, like, a diamond efficiency 12 pickaxe? I mean, that is useful when you want to build something. You can just build it, you know, build it fast. You don't have to worry so much, but I mean, until you actually have access to diamonds, there's no real need for an iron pickaxe. Yeah, okay, we do have access, that's good. So we can just... And I don't mind spending a little bit of durability on leaves accidentally if I'm just using a stone axe, you know? It takes a little bit longer, but honestly, like, with anything other than a pickaxe, the speed of harvest is rarely an issue. Because you end up having to wait just as long for things to grow. Until you have, like, a really dense sort of forestry situation going on. And this is what I mean when I say, like, yeah, you have to... Because sometimes there'll be a log that's, like, buried in this pile of leaves. But I wonder if, like, the placement of the gill arch of the book lung flaps on spiders is, like, in any way related to the placement of the siphon on the side of, like, yeah, one of those mollusks that actually swims around and actively hunts. It's kind of neat because, like, octopus and squid are, like, such a big deviation from, you know, what I would consider the traditional mollusk approach to life of, like, take it slow and just accept what comes to you, you know? Don't go chasing after everything, you know? It definitely does just come to you if you have patience. Yeah. Like a clam. Happy as a clam. That phrase. Although I can't imagine, I mean, with all the stress and troubles that clams face in their environment, I can't imagine they're, like, all that happy. Yeah, I hear you, you are here, seen. Yes, oh, I was just hoping you wouldn't notice me, so I wouldn't have to kill you. Okay, what do I do here? Oh. No, come on, no, we're just, yeah. See how easy that is? Perfect. I can even leave the door open because I trust that. Oh, I can't sleep because there are monsters. The only way to get rid of monsters is to sleep. Kind of feels like that's dumb. Kind of feels like I should be able to, like, go to bed, and if I get attacked by a monster, that's on me, you know? There we go. Okay. I think we're alright. We just need it. Yeah, okay. Drop that sapling. I need that sapling. You silly guy. Okay, I have almost 40 logs. That should make a dent in this. And now we're far enough away that I think we've managed to, like, start despawning some stuff. And there's sugarcane down there. I keep seeing it, but I wasn't able to tell, like, for sure what it was, but I am sure that that's sugarcane. So that's something to propagate, because I think we can make pumpkin pie. Yeah, that would be nice. Creature comforts. All on the way. Oh no, what happened there? Okay, and then this one. Okay, uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Literally cuatro. And let's go ahead and throw up some of this style. So there's 2, there's 1. That should have enough. Maybe. I hope so, but I think I'm being a little wishful there. And then 2, and then 1. So I actually need a dirt block above there. Let's just borrow, you know, from the dirt bank. Go into dirt debt. And that'll be all. That'll be the end of it. Dirt debt. Keep a little dirt under my pillow for the dirt man until he comes to town. Okay. I mean, I've gotten a big collection actually of oak trees on this side of the divide. So do I expand that over to the other side? I'm gonna be wanting to do a lot with acacia. I think I am gonna use the oak just as a way to like get, you know, coal and tools and stuff. Plus, this is burning a hole in my inventory, and I don't mind just using stuff, you know? I find it helps a lot with gameplay if I just, like, place blocks instead of storing everything. Especially stuff where I only have, like, one or two. Alright, that's it for this episode, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to my long-term supporter on Patreon, Sasha. Feel free to support me on there for as little as $1 a month. I post videos 2 weeks early, so you can get access to this and other stuff 2 weeks early. I have a story I'm writing called The Ballad of Rakitam. That's about goblin pirates and love and trying to find a way to lay eggs when you don't have the necessary equipment to lay eggs. I also write a manga called Compost Cop. It's available on symbiosister.com. The link is in the description of every one of these Treehouse videos, so if you don't check it out now, you can always check it out on a future video. I post everything 2 weeks early on Patreon, so you can see it there, but it ultimately comes out for free. If you feel like supporting the work, you feel like it's worth it, then feel free to do so. Like the video if you liked it, comment if you have something to say, and subscribe, or else. And remember, no matter who you are, no matter what you're going through, no matter what your situation in life, it is always Tuesday. And have a great day.